What do you guys think of the younger generation? Honestly, what do you guys think of the younger generation? And before you answer, please introduce yourselves. I don't think we got them.
Well, my name is Sonny. I got to tell you my name. My name is Aaron Sylvester Westcar. That's my name. But if I want to tell you a bit more about my name, is so long it is full displace. My name is Aaron Sylvester Palomino Brother Westcar. You see? Anyway, life is something that you must respect. Respect life. And when you respect life, you respect everyone around you. You understand? I was born in Jamaica. I lived in Jamaica till I was 23 years old. I come to this country. And when I come here, I never feel cool like that in my life. I was frozen.
5 minutes later.
Question, yeah. What is you guys' opinion on the younger generation?
Oh.
I think you have a lot harder than we had. You have it a lot harder than we had.
And why do you think that?
It's there was a lot of better public services, and what they call the infrastructure, the things that keep everything going. It was much more together. Now, the buses, they often don't work. All sorts of things are difficult to keep up with, and the money is not. Money doesn't seem to be there for a lot of the services that we took for granted. All sorts of things you could do, and you guys really have to stretch now to find things that you can do that don't cost money or don't cost a lot of money, and I think that's a big difference. I think it's a lot harder.
I'll answer for Brenda. We find them sometimes difficult to understand. This way, when we were young, rock and roll started, and things were really exciting, and we understood rock and roll, that music.
Nice.
And the music that young people seem to like today is to us sometimes difficult to understand. Very, very coffinous, very loud. Difficult to understand the words. But we can see that young people enjoy it.
Yeah.
So that is obviously important. But as Gordon said, it does worry us that sometimes young people are finding life very difficult today, particularly young boys who can't seem to find a way in this world. It seems to be harder for young boys now than it was in the past, and I do feel sorry for young boys trying to assert themselves and find a way. And it's quite hard for them.
Quick question. Did your parents like the rock and roll music you used to listen to?
When you guys were like a teenager, how was it like growing up?
My life was nice. Nice. When I said nice, we go to the sea, we ride the donkey, we ride bicycle, we swim, we catch fish, we catch crab. Just nice things for children do, and young people do. And that's the way I would like to see you guys and live loving like in my time.
What about you guys? How was it growing up for you guys?
Brenda and I lived in King's Cross in the centre of London. We were born at the beginning of the war, and so that was a terrible time, although we only remember the bombs at the end of it. But so many of the houses around us were destroyed during the war. But at the end of the war, there were lots of these areas that had been bombed, and we called them bomb sites, and they were wonderful playgrounds for children. They were, I suppose, the adventure playgrounds, and so we, as young children, would play on these bomb sites. These days it would be considered as very dangerous because sometimes the houses hadn't been completely knocked down, and we would go inside and walk along the rafters of what was left and look out of the windows and throw things down to one another. And Brenda was particularly good because she was quite a good climber, and in those days, coal was quite expensive and everybody heated their houses with coal. But there was lots of wood in these bombed out houses. So Brenda would go upstairs and pull up the floorboards and throw them down so that other people could collect the wood and go home and burn them. So things were quite exciting for young people there doing that sort of thing. And we were also lucky in that there was a new government in Britain at that time, and there was a new Education Act, and schools were greatly improved. And so we went to some pretty good schools and had quite a good education. So I think we were quite lucky.
Yeah, pick up the bomb thing. I was born just outside Glasgow before the end of the war, and prematurely because my father had a car and he had to avoid a rocket bomb, a V2 that had just fallen. And I was rushed to hospital. My mother was, for me to be born. So I was born into all that. But then later, as a teenager, we lived in the countryside, which I still value very much because I used to go picking hazelnuts from hazel trees in the southwest of Scotland. And now living in London for 6-7 decades, I still enjoy the natural world that you get in the city. And there's a lot of it around. So that's an interest I still have, but it goes back to having been a teenager. Notwithstanding some of the rough stuff that happened at school, it was great to get into the countryside.
I am thinking about the differences between my generation to now, because now the teenager age start no 13 to 19. Alpha. The boys okay all the time. iPhone. That's it. More important is the mother's chain because on the bus when any place, the mom on the bus talking. The boy is crying. Mom take the my goodness, I can't believe it. I am teacher. One boy, one year, maybe 2 years. The boy quiet. Mom, boy, and under what is the education? What happened with this generation?
So you think everything's just technology? By working with the older and younger generation, do you think you can shape or bring back the community?
Yes, 100%.
If possible, certainly, yeah.
It's not good if all you works by yourself because we was talking about this last time, wasn't we? He said how, like, for instance, say gang violence and everything that's going on in this generation now, like, say someone dies, that's when everyone wants to, like, do justice and try to bring everyone, like, oh, we need to stick together to make, like, put the guns and knives down. But then if we all go together with the younger generation, I think we can do something about it. Not only the older generation. We can't keep it as a one-sided thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. What do you guys think about it?
Well, yeah, although I've lived in London all the time, I spent a couple of years, 2010, thereabouts, 12. I went back to Glasgow and worked with younger people, in a thing called Include 'em. It was to bring everybody together. And these were the young people who were called persistent offenders, who were in trouble with the law a lot. And a lot of people had written them off. And our job was to work with young people who felt they had been written off, and they were into criminality. And the way we turned that around was by giving an awful lot of attention. We had, as I said before, a lot of money before it got taken away for this project. And we had youth workers who would spend hours every day with the same young person. And they'd go around in the evening and they'd see that young person. And they would wonder why they came back again, because they'd been rude to them before. And it was that attention, one-to-one, that was what made all the difference. It was one-to-one. An older person, only maybe in their late 20s or 30s, so not that old, talking to the younger person in their late teenage about what they wanted, what was wrong, what was missing in their life. And it was just that one-to-one, keeping going back, keeping, even though they had terrible rude words, keeping still going back. And the young people would eventually say, gosh, you must actually quite like me because you still come back again, you know? So I think it's that kind of thing that we need to do more of, you know? I think it's great having a project like this. And if there's ways in which we can find older people who have experience of previous times, pass that on, not in a patronizing way, but in a getting to know way. It just takes a lot of time. And I just hope we can do more of that sort of thing.
Well, I say young people these days are very creative, talented, and one thing, whatever you want to do, you can do it.
Yes.
Never give up.
Yes.
Believe in yourself,
Yes.
and everything will be fine.
I think that's what a lot of young people need to hear, you know. There's a lot of self-doubt, especially growing up in an area like this.
Yeah.
Trust me, speaking for both my friends as well, we until we got there and we said, you know what, we're actually good at this, we doubted ourselves so much. Got a dancer over there, he works for a knife crime charity. Me,
She's a singer.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Singer.
But that's
Believe in
something.
yourself.
That's
Believe in
something.
yourself.
I think
You
every
can do
young
it.
person needs to hear.
Believe in yourself.
Even if we try to tell each other, we're like, yeah, we're not listening to our friends. Like they're just telling us for the sake of telling us. But if it comes from people that you guys have been here longer than us, you guys have experienced so many different things. So when it comes from you guys, we actually take it in. Sometimes I don't even listen to my own mum when she tells me that. But when it's people that we don't know and they can recognise that the younger generation have talent, it pushes us to want to achieve more. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Young people are very creative these days. Very creative.
Yeah.
And if you're a good teacher, that recognize the whole thing is based on your teacher.
It's true.
It's such an important job. And they will recognize it and they will encourage you and see what you're interested in. Might be sport you're interested in, and you know, and go off to be a sports teacher, or it might be cooking, or it might be finding out about a different language. Teaching, key job.
Exactly. To become a teacher, you need to want to help people. If you're just becoming a teacher for the money or you need to be there to help the child develop. That's
Hey guys, my name's Alia.
And my name's Isabella.
And we're here with Creative Expressions at Bruce Grove Youth Club. And we're here with...
Come off, Big Dummy.
Peaches. My bun.
Caitlin.
Gordon.
Today's topic is going to be about teenagers and what issues we have to deal with today, coming from minds of teenagers, majority. So does anyone want to point out things about behavioural issues, anything they've seen?
Yeah. They keep saying, no, actually, yeah, they say, someone told me that it's only black people that has a screw face. Like every black teenager girl has a screw face that they all have, and that they're not approachable to be looked at. I don't think so.
I don't agree with that statement, but I feel like I'm not trying to be rude, but I feel like a lot of like black girls do have like a resting face, but that just don't mean that everyone has a resting face. But
I think a lot of white folks do their own,
resting face.
Resting kind of hard, separate from everybody else type of face.
I'll speak on behalf of Brenda because it's difficult for Brenda to speak when you've got Alzheimer's. It's not easy to put sentences together, so forgive me, I'll speak for you. Is that all right, Brenda?
Yes.
Okay, good. It was really lovely being here.
I love old people.
one of the things that struck us was that there was enthusiasm amongst the younger generation. It was a bit concerning at first that they felt that the older generation didn't really care about them. And I think those of us at least were here, I think persuaded them that we did care about the younger generation, and we want the best for them.
Yeah.
And although we're all now retired and past it in some senses, we would wish them the best.
So I'm going to answer the question because young people, we've had various podcasts in conversations, and I'm surprised you haven't looked, because these two, Brenda and Stephen, are a couple. Yeah. Husband and wife?
Yes.
Husband and wife. How long have you been married?
63 years.
Well done. Everybody's like, what? Oh, now you with me? 63 years.
Like this day and age.
What?
So love does last.
So what did you say?
Love does last, but you have to pick the right person.
Exactly.
I didn't hear what she said.
She said,
I said love does last, but you have to pick the right person.
Yeah, we were lucky.
oh. So I was gonna say, what's the secret ingredients?
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, none of us around this table, with the exception of maybe one or two, are married. So what would be the secret?
In our case, you've got to be tolerant, and you've got to be patient, and you've got to be prepared to accept that your partner is an independent person, and they want to do things that you might not want to do, and you've got to allow them to do that.